And since I slacked that out, I'm just gonna delete these two ways we did it. So this is not such a messy file, but you'll have that in Slack, and we'll just use our Axios on mount for this. All right. And don't we have a spinner? This is going to look funny, but let's just grab our semantic spinner or loader. Let's reuse some of these components. Probably might want to do like a new one, but all right. Can't read property length. Oh, I stopped my server. Should probably have my error handling up, but I don't. Okay, we could just maybe do this really quick. Just going to call this UE for user error. And I'll call this one skill error. And let's get a little, let's do a nested ternary or a double ternary. So I can say, hey, if my users is loading, let's go ahead and render this semantic loader. Or here, well, now I can do another ternary. I can see this UE. Let's call this user error just to be a little more. Call this user error, and that's S error. So if we have a user error, now I can do another ternary. Well, if we have a user error, let's go ahead and do our semantic, or what did I call it? Like an error. I forgot what I've called this, semantic error. Did I just call it semantic error? Yeah, semantic error. Semantic error. So I'll go ahead and import that. If not, I'm going to call this, I'm going to call like a render users. I don't know if I really like that syntax. I'm going to not format this. So I might write this like this. So I'm going to check if my user's loading. If it's loading, then let's go ahead and render that semantic loader. Then I'll go, if it's not, then I'll go ahead and check, do I have an error? If I do have an error, then we'll do the semantic error. If not, I'm going to call this render users function. These all on new lines. If that makes this any more clear. Now, I don't think this is a clean way to write this. I just wanted to show it, like, have you used, I just want to show you can nest these ternaries as much as you want. So now if my server was stopped, I need to define this render users function const render users. So I don't get that error. I'm going to comment this one out because I'm not going to do the ternary on that one, but just to show you, I'm at least getting some kind of error. I need to actually pass that error down right here. Error equals U error. So there's my 500 error because I don't have my server running. I think this is getting so messy that what would be, I think, cleaner is to do this in the render users function instead of trying to do that double ternary. So let's just do the render users, and then I can just do a nice clean if statement. So if I have my users loading, we can return a semantic loader. An else if would work here, right? But I don't need an else if, I just need an if. Why do I just need an if and not an else if here? Anyone? Same thing here. I don't need to throw this in an else. I can just return. Let's just for now do like my paragraph users.length. Why don't I need to write this as an if else if statement? I can just do these ifs. So I could write this like this, else if, else. That's fine. Let's go ahead and fix these errors. I'm going to change that to users. Semantic error. Spelled that wrong. So I don't need these else if, because remember, this is just a function, and if a function returns something, it just stops. So I don't need to do that as a if, else if. Because once a function returns, it's done. Cool. Save that. My 500 error. Let's go ahead and start my server. And we can do the same thing. We can do like a render skills function. Do something similar. It just checks my skills loading. Skills loading, we'll do our semantic loading. If we have a skill error, we'll just render that. If not, we'll do skills.length. Spell skills right. and switch this from skills yellow to skills. I mean, this is pretty like fancy. I mean, we're doing 2 Axios calls. They each have their own spinners and error handlers. So, I mean, this is like already becoming like a pretty complicated UI. So, and our code's relatively clean.
On line 33, it needs to be S error that you're passing.
Oh yeah, S error. Sweet. So let's go ahead and let's actually render these selects. So I always need to look at the select from semantic UI React. So these, yeah, has the options that we need, where we need the key, value, and text. We need to select. This one doesn't have the on click. We'll see if we can kind of figure that out, but I'm just going to take one of these. Well, actually, I won't. Let's just go ahead. So we need to come make this options array. So if we have our rendered users, I need to make some state for the select box for that options. So let's go ahead and grab use state. And let's do a const user options and set user options. And let's just stick with this one for now and not worry about the skills. Equals use state. Okay. So for here, we want to map our data into like that options data that looks like this. This is probably gonna cause us a bug, but I'm glad this is a good one to show. So let's look at this. Does this make sense what I want to do here? I want to take that user's data that I'm getting back from my API call, and I need to map it into an array of data with key, value, and text to match semantics dropdown. Because semantic, that's how they want the value. Something I could also do just to like do this as like steps, I could just come in here and copy this working example. I mean, I don't need all of this data, but I just come take that option, I take their select box. Right here, I can just return this. This can be a really good way to code. Just get stuff working and then like, you know, figure it out. So well, I need to import select because then you're going to catch these simple bugs a lot quicker. Could also try to do the on change. I hate this on change event here. On change. Equals handle change. I might have to like Google this one too. Let's see if this is it. Handle change. This is the part I can't remember. So we grab the event, and then there's like some object here. I don't know how to get the value, but what I'm going to do is just do a console.log. I bet you it is actually value. Let's grab the value, since that's what it is in our key, in our options. So it's console.log value, because that's really what I want. On change, I just want to log this value. So I can clear that. Let's see if it's actually calling this console.log here. So I'm not even getting that console.log here. So I don't think this is, oh, on change. I spelled on change wrong. There we go. Here and X. Sweet. Cool. So now I have that part figured out. Now I just need to go and select these country options. I need to change that to my actual data. So right here, I'm going to do const data. I'll just call this data for now. And I'm going to go over my users. I'm going to call my map. Go through each user and return an object that looks like this. Okay, so for the key, what I want the key to be is just the user.id. I just want something unique there. For the value, I actually want the user.id as well, because that's what I'm going to want to send to my database, the ID of the user. And then for the text, this is what the UI is going to show. I want to show the user.name. And then I'm going to set my state. I could set users options to data. And I'm going to do a console.log of data right here. Using my console.logs. And then I'm going to set this to user options. Cool. Too many re-renders. I must be. This render users is calling. Okay, yeah. So this render users.
Would that data be where the user options are? Wait.
This data,
Where did your user options come from?
Where does this come from?
Yeah. Oh, that's your state?
That's my state.
Okay.
I'm running into an infinite loop here, so it's probably caused by that. So there's my data. So since this is going to cause an infinite loop. Also, that was actually not the error I was expecting. Might need to do like another like if user option dot length equals 0, then do all this stuff. To get rid of that. So there's my users. But I could, this is getting, I mean, I don't really need this user option state. I'm not going to be adding any. I just get the data right here and map over it. So I can, I mean, this works, but I can just go ahead and get rid of that, get rid of the state, and just use this, just call this user options.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I don't think I was saying it very well.
Okay, yeah, I don't need to. So I can just do that right here and then pass that as user options. Cool. And now, yeah, I'll just say that to select user. There we go. Now I could do the same thing with my skills. I'm doing a lot of copy and pasting, huh? I'm not going to convert this into another component, but I think you could realize you would probably want to just create this into a React component and then reuse that component. And then you would have a kind of like our list loader. You could have like a drop-down loader where you do an Axios call, gets all your data and creates a drop-down for you. If you had like a lot of drop-downs in your apps, like that did that, you definitely want to throw all of this in that. I do need a different function for this. I'm going to call this handle skill change. Select skill. And skills option. And this, yeah, because this is getting, now this file is getting, it's breaking this up into another component. It's going to do two things. You're going to reuse that code. And then also it's going to like, this page is getting complicated. It's getting long. And then I need to just copy this handle change and do a handle skill change. This will be like a bonus. Create like a drop-down loader where we could throw a lot, we could throw like this, we could throw all of this logic in that component. I don't want to do it because I want to get to Rails. It's just taking forever to get there. The front end is like, it's very complicated, huh? You think it'd be easier, but it's really not. Okay, so I'm also going to do the same thing. Oh wait, I already have a render skills function. I'm going to delete that. Okay, so my render skills, We check if our skills are loading. We check if there's an error. If not, we map over our data. This needs to be skills.map. I mean, U would be fine there, but let's just change that to S. Because they actually do have, both of them have an ID and both have a name. So that would actually work. Cool. Yay. Bam. Let's go ahead and wrap this in a form. Give that a button. We'll submit. Import form and button. Cool. So we do need some state now for these handle changes. So we need some state for our, I can get rid of this, country options. We need some state for the ID of the skill and the ID of the grade. Let's go ahead and do that. Const skill ID. And I'm just going to do this as underscore. Let's use state. Actually, I won't. Let's do it normally ID. So I'm going to have that null by default. And then I'm going to do user ID and set user ID. And then let's do this, set skill ID to be value. Then let's do a submit. No, actually, since this is a score, I need one more thing. I need a input. Let's give it a placeholder. Actually, let's do it a label. Actually, I'll just do a placeholder as enter score, because we need a score. Value equals, we'll have to create some state for this score, and on change equals our function where we take the E and the value and we set score. think this is part of the reason that makes like the has many through maybe a little difficult. It's just like, man, we have to go get like all of our ID. We have to get IDs from 2 different tables. We have to like create forms with all that stuff. And then we have to like, it's just a lot of work. And it's a lot of work on the front end. Okay, I have a syntax error. Of course, I just, okay, I don't know. It's going to start this over. Okay, so set score to value. That's my syntax error. Okay, there we go. So I have this set score and this score state that I need. So I need to create some state for that. Yeah, I really like want to just make that component just because this file is getting, it's like getting hard to like find stuff in here. Can everyone see that? Like as you're, if you're trying to follow along, aren't you just like, it's getting so lost? Because I have all this duplicated logic. Scam call. All right, so let's see if I get this part working, then I'll slack this out. I've done a lot. I just want to see, am I logging all of this data? So I want to see, am I logging the score? Let's just log it like this: score as an object, score, skill ID, and user ID. And I get some errors. So input's not defined and handle submit's not defined. So I need to do a const here. Set deleted that, submit. And then I need to put this here on submit equals that handle submit. Did I just like delete that? And then I need to import input from semantic. Sometimes if you get these errors, just refreshing. We'll fix it. Okay, so let's select Russell, select the skill, give it a score. Yay. We now have our data to send to create a new one. So let me slack this out. So this has been quite a bit. See, so now we finally have the data to do our API call. So let's make this async. Let response equal await Axios dot post. What do we have this as? We have this as API/API/grades. That's our post request. And then I need to throw in this object right here. I need to change something here though. What do I need to change? And let me go to my grades model, or sorry, my grades controller, so we can look at that sanitizer. here's what we're allowing. Score user underscore ID and skill underscore ID. So if I go back here, these are not going to match that sanitizer, right? It's not going to know about them either. So I need to call this key skill underscore ID and set that equal to the value. And this one user underscore ID. And something else I'm going to do, 0 times. I'm going to just destroy all my grades in my database, just so I can like test this out. I got that axial stairs, that's fine. So I'm going to do a Rails DB seed. So now I have 0 grades. I still have users and skills. So I'm going to go ahead and start that up. Axios is not defined. So let's import Axios. So if I go to grades, I don't have any grades. So we go to new grade. You can select the user. Let's do Reverend Sambor. Do Ruby. Sure, they got 80. Did that work? I don't know. Let's go back to our grades. There we go. That took forever. But now we can add some grades. Now this isn't like the best, because let's say I do this again. I go to Reverend Samuel or whatever. And here's Ruby. I might give him 100. Go back to grades. So I'm not really, I don't know. This is probably something I don't want to have on this app. I think for your doctor's appointment, that would be fine. So I'm not going to worry about this for now, because it'd be fine that you have that a patient and a doctor would have multiple appointments. For this one, it doesn't really make sense that someone would have 2 grades. But I kind of don't want, like, we're keeping things simpler on the back end for now, because we're not talking about SQL. But we could come up with some SQL calls that it's like, you know, I could maybe do like on my users page. And maybe let's do this on our users page. Let's do a call where we get back a user and then all of their skills. And maybe a list of all the skills they don't have. Should we do something like that? I think this one's pretty intense right here to do this new grade. This is probably one, yeah, the more difficult one to do. Because we had to do 2 Axios calls to get the data. and then a third axial is called to post it. Let's take a break though. I'm going to push this up to GitHub. Any questions or anything? Or is everyone minds just... Alan, you got that nebula in the background, so your mind looks like it's exploding. Well, cool. Yeah, let's come back. Let's call it 11:35. And let me make sure I push.
Sweet, sounds good.
Cool.